Thoughts of our Divine Mother from the book The Mother, Question and Answers, Volume 3, page 126, topic Surrender, Self-Offering and Consecration. Our Divine Mother says surrender is the decision taken to hand over the responsibility of your life to the Divine. Without this decision, nothing is at all possible. If you do not surrender, the yoga is entirely out of question. Everything else comes naturally after it, for the whole process starts with surrender. You can surrender either through knowledge or through devotion. You may have a strong intuition that divine alone is the truth and a luminous conviction that without the divine you cannot manage. Or you may have a spontaneous feeling that this line is the only way of being happy, a strong psychic desire to belong exclusively to the divine. I do not belong to myself, you say, and give up the responsibility of your being to the truth. Then comes the self-offering. Here I am, a creature of various qualities, good and bad, dark and enlightened. I offer myself as I am to you. Take me up with all the ups and downs, conflicting impulses and tendencies. Do whatever you like with me. In the course of your self-offering, you start unifying your being around what has taken the first decision, the central psychic will. All the jarring elements of your nature have to be harmonized. They have to be taken up one after another and unified with the central being. You may offer yourself to the divine with a spontaneous movement, but it is not possible to give yourself effectively without this unification. The more you are unified, the more you are able to realize the self-giving. And once the self-giving is complete, consecration follows. It is the crown. Consecration is the crown of the whole process of realization, the last step of gradation, after which there is no more trouble and everything runs smoothly. But you must not forget that you cannot become integrally consecrated at once. You are often deluded into such a belief when, for a day or two, you have a strong moment of a particular kind. You are led to hope that everything else will automatically follow in its wake. But in fact, if you have become the least bit self-complacent, you retard your own advance. For your being is full of innumerable tendencies at war with one another, almost different personalities, we may say. When one of them gives itself to the divine, the other comes up and refuses their allegiance. We have not given ourselves, they cry, and start clamoring for their independence and expression. Then you bid them be quiet and show them the truth. Patiently, you have to go around the whole being, exploring each and every nook and corner, facing all those anarchic elements in you which are waiting for their psychological moment to come up. And it is only when you have made the entire round of your mental, vital and physical nature, persuaded everything to give itself to the divine, and thus achieved an absolute unified consecration, that you put an end to your difficulties. Then, indeed, yours is a glorious walk towards transformation, for you no longer go from darkness to knowledge, but from knowledge to knowledge, light to light, happiness to happiness. The complete consecration is undoubtedly not an easy matter, says our Divine Mother. The complete consecration of you is undoubtedly not an easy matter, and it might take an almost indefinitely long time if you had to do it all by yourself, by your own independent effort. But when the Divine's grace is with you, it is not exactly like that. With a little push from the divine, now and then, a little push in this direction and in that, the work becomes comparatively quite easy. Of course, the length of time depends on each individual, but it can be very much shortened if you make a really firm resolve. Resolution is the one thing required. Resolution is the master key. Next topic, page 130, aspiration in the physical for the divine's love. Our Divine Mother says, here is the flower we have called aspiration in the physical for the divine love. By the word physical, I mean the physical consciousness, the most ordinary outward going consciousness, the normal consciousness of most human beings, which sets such great store by comfort, good food, good clothes, happy relations, etc., instead of aspiring for higher things. Aspiration in the physical for the divine love, for the higher things. Aspiration implies that the physical asks for nothing else save that it should feel how the divine loves it. It realizes that all its usual satisfaction are utterly insufficient, but they cannot be a compromise. If the physical wants the divine's love, it must want that alone and not say, I shall have the divine's love and at the same time keep my other attachments, needs, and enjoyments. The fundamental seat of aspiration from which it radiates or manifests in one part of the being or another is a psychic center. When I speak of aspiration in the physical, I mean that the very consciousness in you which hankers after material comfort and well-being should of itself, without being compelled by the higher parts of your nature, ask exclusively for the divine's love. Usually you have to show it the light by means of your higher parts. Surely this has to be done persistently. Otherwise the physical would never learn. It would take nature's common round of ages before it learns by itself. Indeed, the round of nature is intended to show all possible sorts of satisfaction by exhausting them, convince it that none of them can really satisfy, and that at the bottom seeking is a divine satisfaction. In yoga, we hasten this slow process and insist on the physical consciousness seeking the truth, learning to recognize and want it. But how to show it the truth? Well, just bring a light into a dark room. Illumine the darkness of your physical consciousness with the intuition and aspiration of your more refined parts. Keep on doing it till it realizes how futile and unsatisfactory is the hunger for the low ordinary things and turns spontaneously towards the truth. When it does turn, your whole life will be changed. The experience is unmistakable. When, as a child, I used to complain to my mother about food or any other such small matter, she would always tell me to go and do some work or pursue my studies instead of bothering about the trifles. She would ask me if I had a complacent idea that I was born for comfort. You're born to realize the highest ideal, she would say, and send me packing. She was quite right, though of course her notion of the highest ideal was rather poor by our standards. We are all born for the highest ideal. Therefore, whenever in our ashram some petty request for some more comfort and material happiness is refused, it is for our own good and to make you fulfill what you are here for. The refusal is actually a favor in as much as you thereby considered worthy to stand before the highest ideal and shaped according to it. These are the divine words of our Divine Mother.